Chapter 1208. Yin and Yang offset. A freshman who has just entered the academy actually said that she could understand this book, Ancient Pill Code. He had also read this book, and he still couldn't fully comprehend the understanding in it. However, thinking of Shiyu's outstanding talent, Zheng Shouyue still took over the book from Shiyu. What was written on it was the simplest formula for the blood healing pill, and it was a grade 3 blood healing pill. This was very popular in the current Miluo continent. Zheng Shouyue took a look. After determining that the pill formula was the same as his common pill formula, he couldn't help frowning and said, "Isn't this the ordinary blood healing pill formula? What's the problem?" These medicinal pills had been used for thousands of years, and no one had ever raised any doubts. How could there be a problem? But thinking that Shiyu was at the age of learning, so he was relieved again. Putting the ancient pill code on the table, Zheng Shouyue stroked his beard and said with a smile, "If you have any questions, you can go to my pill refiner and try to refine it a few times. After refining, you will know the essence of this pill formula. You will understand why such a pill formula has been circulating in Miluo continent for thousands of years." Hushi shook her head and chuckled. "I know without refining it. There is a big problem with this pill formula." Zheng Shouyue was a little unhappy now, but he still calmly said, "Then tell me, what's wrong with this pill formula?" The library had always been quiet. Because of their argument, many students were attracted. Originally, some people wanted to scold them for being noisy, but when they saw their identities, they all shut up. Especially when everyone found that Zheng Shouyue was looking at Shiyu's unkind eyes. And they immediately guessed that Shiyu was hated by this dean. They couldn't help but gloat at the misfortune. However, Hushi didn't notice the onlookers and Zheng Shouyue's displeasure. She just stretched out her slender finger, tapped on the book and said calmly, "There are two main medicines in this pill formula. They are fire essence jujube and ice flower. Fire essence jujube produces blood and ice flower nourishes veins. If they are separated, there is no problem, but if they are combined to refine pills, there will be a problem." Before Zheng Shouyue asked another question, Hushi continued, "Although these two spiritual herbs do not conflict with each other in terms of efficacy, they are one of fire and one of water, one of yang and the other of yin. The yin and yang of the medicinal properties offset each other. Although the medicinal pills are not harmful to the human body, they greatly waste the value of the pill itself. Moreover, once the amount of fire essence jujube and ice flower is adjusted improperly, the medicinal pills will contain cold poison or fire poison. If one takes these medicinal pills for a long time, his body will definitely be harmed. Dean Zheng, what do you think of this?" Zheng Shouyue was stunned, staring at the young man with wide eyes. Then he muttered to himself after a while, "Yin and yang offset each other? Yes, it is really is one yin and one yang. Will they really offset each other?" The students' onlookers were even more uproar when they heard Shiyu's remarks. Some were disdainful, some were puzzled, and some were shocked. What yin and yang offset each other? He is just bullshitting. This is a pill formula that has been handed down for thousands of years. Can Shiyu change it himself? I think what Shiyu said is not unreasonable. I heard that some people who take the inferior blood supplement pills will inexplicably get fire poison. I've never heard of anyone who can modify pill formula by themselves. What if the refined medicinal pills cause death to people? Chapter 1209. Improvement Method. A person suddenly rushed out of the crowd, grabbed Hushi's hand, and said nervously, "You said that the fire essence jujube and ice flower offset each other, so do you have any way to improve it?" Hushi looked up in amazement. She found that the person grabbed her's hand was a young man with an ordinary appearance and big ears. But his eyes were extremely clear and bright. When he talked about medicinal pills, his eyes seemed to be burning. Someone in the crowd recognized this person. "Isn't that Jia Shujia from Heaven Medical Branch? I heard that he is a pill maniac. He is not interested in anything other than pill refining. Even his cultivation didn't increase much. He has entered the Miracle Healer Academy for more than 2 years, and he is still in the early stage of the Gold Core stage. It's also because his cultivation can't be improved, which made him unable to refine high-grade medicinal pills, so he is almost abandoned by the elders now. Maybe he will fall to the Earth Medical Branch next year." The people around were criticizing Jiashujia, but Jiashujia didn't seem to notice. He stared at Hushi without blinking. His burning eyes could seem to burn a hole on her face. Hushi didn't care about his rudeness. She waved her hand slightly to shake him off and smiled slightly. What if I replace the fire essence jujube with ice crystal jujube? Ice crystal jujube? Replace fire essence jujube with ice crystal jujube? Jiashujia murmured and repeated Hushi's words as if falling into a madness. Yes, ice crystal jujube also has the effect of generating blood. And its ice crystal attribute and ice flower's ice attribute won't offset each other, but they will complement each other. But in this way, won't there be too much cold poison in the medicinal pills? Hushi raised her brows and said leisurely, whether it will contain cold poison, try it and you'll know? Zheng Shouyue was also impatient at this time. Shiyu, let's go to the pill refining room of Huang Medical Branch now and try the pill formula you mentioned. Then they came to the pill refining room of Huang Medical Branch. There were also students following behind them. Almost all the students in the library who watched this scene followed. They all had to witness with their own eyes whether the pill formula, which had been handed down for thousands of years, could be improved. In the pill refining room of Huang Medical Branch, there were only a few students doing pill refining. Everyone's face was full of disappointment. Of course, the environment here was also very bad. The spirit in the air couldn't even be felt. Noticing that a group of people came in, and many of them were students of the 4 upper courtyards, these people stopped refining pills and stood up awkwardly. Many of the students of the 4 upper courtyards were full of despise when looking at the finished products they refined. Those were residues or low-grade medicinal pills. Even an idiot like Jiashujia showed a worried look, grabbed Hushi and said, "Go to my pill refining room. I have carved several spirit gathering arrays there. You will definitely be able to refine good medicinal pills." Jiashujia's words made the people of Huang Medical Branch bow their heads one after another, showing humiliation and anger. Hushi refused nonchalantly, "No need. As long as you have the ability, it's the same to refine pill anywhere. What's more, isn't it just grade 3 blood healing pill? Is there a need for making such a fuss?" Except for Jiashujia, who was a pill maniac, looked convinced and admired, everyone else showed a sneering look. Several people in Heaven Medical Branch snickered, waiting for Hushi to make a fool of himself. Hushi took some spiritual herbs from the storage shelf in the Huang Medical Branch's pill refining room, looked at a boy who was paler than others and said, "Can you help me process these herbs?" Chapter 12:10. Pills refine many spirit herbs that were freshly picked and stored needed to be processed before refining. However, this kind of trivial, boring and unskilled work used to be easily handled by Little Egg with a wave of his paws, so Hushi didn't know how to process them until now. The young man widened his eyes in shock, pointed at himself and said, "Me? Me." Hushi nodded. "You don't want to?" Then she frowned. "I can pay you a point." Jiashujia was anxious, and he immediately said, "I'll do it. Shiyu, let me handle the herbs for you. You just need to hurry up and refine the new blood healing pill." "No. Please let me do it." The young man stepped forward and said with a trembling tone, "I can handle these herbs." Saying that, he grabbed the herbs from Hushi's hand and started to process them seriously. Jiashujia wanted to say something, but when he saw the colorful colors on the boy's fingers, he paused. This is a trace left by processing herbs for a long time. Is Shiyu looking for him because he sensed the young man's abilities? The red spiritual fire was burning in the pill refining furnace. That's right, not the golden spiritual fire. Not the Dantian fire in Hushi's body, but the earth spiritual fire she accidentally acquired in the elusive forest. In fact, this grade 3 blood healing pill, according to Hushi's previous practice, she could refine them in 15 minutes. But now there were too many people watching. In order to avoid attracting unnecessary attention, she used the earth spiritual fire and followed the steps described in the book. Soon the medicinal pills were refined. The top of the cauldron was opened, and a strong medicinal fragrance came out. Looking at the 16 medicinal pills neatly arranged in the pill cauldron, the pill refiners in Huang Medical Branch all gasped. No one knew how shabby the Huang Medical Branch's pill refining room was than the people who refined pills here every day. Among them, There were not many people who could successfully refine a batch of medicinal pills every day. Even if they succeeded, there were only 2 to 3 pills. But what about Shiyu? She just casually refined 16 pills in a cauldron, using the spiritual herbs of the most average quality. The only person in the audience who pouted and shook head was probably Hushi. Sure enough, without using her own refining method and spiritual fire, she couldn't bear to look at the pity amount. If she had such low efficiency in pill refining on weekdays, Shengda Hall would have closed down early. Although the people in the 4 upper courtyards were not as shocked as the people in the Huang medical branch, they no longer dared to look down on Shiyu. Although they knew that Shiyu's pill refining skill was excellent, hearing it was different from seeing it with their own eyes. Jia Shujia had completely lost his mind at this time. He grabbed one of the medicinal pills with shock and excitement, and his voice was shaking. He really did it? I didn't expect that the pills are really refined after changing the formula. Doesn't this mean all the pill formulas can be modified? No, I have to try the effect of this pill first. As he spoke, he was about to stuff it in his mouth. His classmate from Heaven Medical Branch quickly grabbed his hand and said anxiously, "Shujia, are you crazy? These medicinal pills have not been tested yet. Who knows what will happen after you eat them?" Yeah, if the ice properties of ice crystal jujube and ice flower are condensed in the medicinal pills, wouldn't you be infected with cold poison? Chapter 12:11. Pill refining genius Jia Shujia looked depressed and wanted to try, but he was really afraid that something wrong would happen. Suddenly, a bony but colorful hand stretched out from the side, took the medicinal pills, and swallowed it in one mouthful. Ah! Someone couldn't help but let out an exclamation. It turned out that it was the young man who had just processed the herbs for Shiyu. He swallowed the medicinal pills in Jia Shujia's hands without hesitation. For a while there was silence in the medicinal pills room. Everyone looked at the pale young man. He frowned slightly, his lips pursed tightly, and his cheeks flushed slightly as if he was enduring some kind of pain. Look, I told you that there is a problem with the medicinal pills. He is beyond saving now. Humph. If she can casually change the pill formula, then there will not only be so little medicinal pills on Miluo continent. Just when everyone was gloating over the misfortune, Jia Shujia threw away his friend's hand and rushed to the young man, grabbed his hand and began to examine his body. The young man seemed to have recovered at this time. His originally pale face was filled with a bit of ruddy. He looked at Hushi with touching tears. Senior Shi, can I take a few more medicinal pills? Hushi spread her hands slightly. These 15 are all yours. Wait. Jia Shujia jumped in shock. He grabbed one pill and said anxiously, I want it too. I want it too. Give me a few. After speaking, without even waiting for Shiyu to answer, he swallowed the medicinal pills in his hand. When the medicinal powers melted in his body, Jia Shujia showed a fascinated expression. His body trembled with excitement. Wonderful, it's really wonderful. Just changed one herb. I didn't expect it to have such an effect. Shiyu, you're truly a genius of pill refining. As soon as Jia Shujia said this, everyone in the pill refining room all looked at Hushi in shock. The boy took 2 medicinal pills a little embarrassedly, kept them carefully and said, Senior Shi, I have suffered from blood loss since I was a child. I have to take hundreds of blood healing pills every year. But not only my blood loss is cured, but it also caused a dryness heat in my body and an imbalance of yin and yang. I can't even refine pills anymore. But after taking the blood healing pill you refine, I feel that the dryness heart has disappeared, and my blood is recovered by more than 3 times when taking the other blood healing pills. Senior Shiyu, you are really amazing. Hushi smiled and looked the young man up and down. You are a student of the Huang medical branch, right? Me too. So don't call me Senior Shi, call me Shiyu. The young man nodded with eyes full of admiration and excitement. But before he could speak again, the students who heard the words swarmed up and snatched all the medicinal pills in the pill cauldron. Zheng Shouyue held the only one of the medicinal pills he grabbed with an ugly face. He felt very displeased. They were obviously his students. How could he fight with other students just for a pill refined by his student? Jia Shujia was even more sad that he didn't take more. Zheng Shouyue swallowed the medicinal pill and determined that the efficacy of the medicinal pills was enhanced without containing any cold poison. He couldn't help but wonder. Shiyu, why do the spiritual herbs of ice attribute complement each other to enhance the pill without producing cold poison? Chapter 12:12. Accept me as your disciple, okay? Hushi smiled leisurely. She swayed her finger gently, and a flame appeared at her fingertip. Of course it's because of spiritual fire. After ice crystal jujube and ice flower are put into the pill cauldron, I wrap them with spiritual fire and absorb the coldness of the herbs bit by bit with spiritual fire, but it won't offset their medicinal effects. In this way, the efficacy of medicinal pills is naturally doubled. Zheng Shouyue was stunned for a moment. Then he clapped and laughed. Yes, spiritual fire belongs to Yang, but it is heaven Yang. It will not conflict with medicinal properties. As long as the spiritual fire expels the coldness of spiritual herbs, it will naturally double its effectiveness. But the smile on Zheng Shouyue's face turned into shock immediately, and he looked at Hushi in a daze for a while before saying, Shiyu, even if ordinary people know the properties of medicine, they would not have thought of such a refining method? How did you think of it? Hushi frowned, and she said as if it was normal. Is there a need to think? Shouldn't you know the refining method after getting familiar with the various properties of spiritual herbs? For example, if the coldness remains, then use spiritual fire to remove it. For example, ice flower is soluble. It dissolves while the coldness is expelled. Then it will naturally merge with the ice crystal jujube. Isn't it normal? Zheng Shouyue opened his mouth, but couldn't say a word for a while. Is it normal? Yes, it is normal. However, without anyone giving advice and guidance, who would have thought? Who could have done it? However, this young man did it, and he did it so easily, like breathing in and out. He didn't hesitate at all. Ice crystal jujube replaces fire essence jujube, which not only improves the medicinal properties of medicinal pills, but it also reduces the cost. Because on Miluo continent, the price of ice crystal jujube is much lower than that of fire essence jujube, but the effect of blood healing pill has been more than doubled. The young man looks so calm. Does he know what shocking things he has done? Zheng Shouyue took a deep breath and suddenly said in a deep voice, Shiyu, can you write me this improved new pill formula? Hushi shrugged, of course. After that, she took out a blank inscribed jade slip and quickly engraved the pill formula. Although the efficacy of this kind of blood healing pill had been improved, in the cultivation world, the so-called blood healing pill was really not very useful. She was not even interested in selling it in Shengda Hall, so she might as well give it to Dean Zheng. Zheng Shouyue took over the pill formula recorded on the inscribed jade slip and hurriedly left the room. The students present were still a little lost, looking at Dean Zheng leaving in a hurry. Is this the same Dean Zheng that we have been imagining? Hushi was also a little surprised. She didn't know what Dean Zheng was going to do with that pill formula. But it had nothing to do with her. As she turned around and was about to leave, she was grabbed by Jia Shujie. You know, Senior Shi, can you teach me about pill refining? No, can you accept me as an apprentice? As long as you can let me learn pill refining with you, I can do anything for you. Hushi's mouth twitched, and she said resolutely, I refuse. Then she disappeared in place. Jia Shujie looked dejectedly at the hands that were holding the corners of her clothes just now. But they were nothing. He immediately looked depressed. Then he immediately clenched his fist and said, No, I must learn pill refining from Senior Shi. The young man on the side was holding the 2 blood healing pills in his hand with a look of fascination. Chapter 12:13. Existing Pill Formula Elder Council. At this time, the main hall of the Elder Council was almost occupied by the deans and elders of each branch. In addition to these elders, there were also Lu Jishi, the president of the Academy Student Council, and Jiang Zhongqing, the new deputy president. Deputy Dean Jiang, who was sitting at the top, held the pill formula copied by hand, and his expression became more and more solemn. He looked at Zheng Shouyue with scorching eyes. Dean Zheng, are you sure this pill formula was improved by Shiyu? It can refine a more effective blood healing pill? Zheng Shouyue stood up and nodded without hesitation. This is the pill formula that I watched Shiyu change with my own eyes. After I got the pill formula and the refining method, I tried it myself. This is the medicinal pill I refined. Deputy Dean Jiang took the medicinal pill that Zheng Shouyue handed over. After confirming the efficacy, his face also showed an excited look. The new pill formula, which hasn't appeared in Miluo continent for thousands of years, has now been developed by our students at Miracle Healer Academy. If this story spreads out, then our Miracle Healer Academy's reputation will rise again. Great Shouyue, you have done a great job in this matter. That student named Shiyu, I will award him with generous points, and I will also commend him in the entire academy. Wait a minute. Before Deputy Dean Zhang's words were finished, Jiang Zhongqing, who was sitting beside Lu Zixi, suddenly stood up and said, Dean Jiang, I think we shouldn't proceed Shiyu's commendation. About this new pill formula, we must not claim that it is developed by our academy. Otherwise, our Miracle Healer Academy will become the laughing stock of the entire Miluo continent. Deputy Dean Jiang stopped and said with annoyance, What do you mean by that? Zheng Shouyue said even more angrily, I know that your Academy Student Council has some conflicts with Shiyu, but isn't it too much to cover up Shiyu's achievements like this? Jiang Zhongqing smiled and said, Dean Jiang and Dean Zheng, please calm down. I have a basis for saying this. Because the pill formula of this blood healing pill is not improved by Shiyu at all. It has originally existed. Our president has seen this pill formula a few years ago, but because blood healing pills are useless for martial artists, refining them is useless, so it has not been publicized. He said and sneered. I didn't expect that Shiyu was so despicable and shameless. She saw this pill formula, but she isn't humble like our president. Instead, he took this pill formula for his own. If we really publicize this pill formula, and are found out that Shiyu plagiarized other people's pill formula, wouldn't it put shame on our Miracle Healer Academy? What? You saw this pill formula a few years ago? Deputy Dean Jiang looked at Lu Zixi. Is this true? Lu Zixi smiled and stood up and said, It's true. There is an ancient book in our Doctors Association that records this pill formula. If Jiang Dean doesn't believe it, you can ask my father. On this matter, Zixi will never dare to lie. Deputy Dean Jiang suddenly lost his enthusiasm when he heard the words. The great achievement had vanished in the blink of an eye. Just as Jiang Zhongqing said, if this matter was found out after being publicized, how shameful the Miracle Healer Academy would be. Thinking of this, he glared at Zheng Shouyue angrily and left. When the other deans and elders saw that the matter had ended hastily, they all gloated over the misfortune, and laughed at Zheng Shouyue and hurried away. Chapter 12-14. Sore spot. Zheng Shouyue stood there with an ashen face, unable to recover from the sudden blow. Jiang Zhongqing walked up to him and sneered. Dean Zheng, you handed in this pill formula today because you want to re-enter the power center of Miracle Healer Academy? It's a pity that you don't know the person well, and mistakenly thought he is talented. Your dream has vanished as well, ha ha ha. Zheng Shouyue stared at Jiang Zhongqing coldly, and he suddenly released the spirit pressure. Jiang Zhongqing's face turned pale, staggered back a few steps and spouted blood. At this moment, the arrogance on his face turned into fear with a hint of resentment in it. He glared at the unremarkable old man in front of him. He had just forgotten that this old man, who looked lousy, was a master at the nascent soul later stage. How could he provoke casually? At this moment, Lu Zixi slowly stepped forward and said to Zheng Shouyue, Dean Zheng, my subordinate is ignorant, please don't be bothered by him. Zheng Shouyue frowned and stared at Lu Zixi coldly. Did you really see that pill formula in any ancient book? Lu Zixi smiled. Of course it's true. Telling this kind of lie will not benefit Zixi at all. If anyone checks it, wouldn't my lie be exposed? If Dean Zheng still doesn't believe it, Zixi will let father immediately send the ancient book through black market. Zheng Shouyue's face was gloomy and uncertain. He never believed that Shiyu made such changes because he had seen the pill formula. He was clearly familiar with the various attributes of the blood healing pill formula, and all the reasoning processes were well-founded and convincing. How could this be a lie? A hint of smugness flashed in Lu Zixi's eyes. She greeted Jiang Zhongqing to go out. However, before they reached the door, Zheng Shouyue's cold voice suddenly came from behind. Lu Zixi, You said you have seen pill formula, such a novel pill formula. Have you really never tried refining it once? Lu Jishi paused slightly. The light in her eyes dimmed for a while. Then she turned around and smiled and said, "It's just a mere blood-healing pill. Isn't it normal that I didn't think about refining it?" Zheng Shouyue sneered. "Did you never think about refining, or did you fail refining it?" Lu Jishi's face changed slightly. "What does Dinzeng mean?" Zheng Shouyue laughed. His eyes were full of contempt. "You know what it means the best. With Shiyu's ability, do you think that if you stop him this time, he won't be able to become famous? He can improve a kind of medicinal pills, so he can also improve the second and third. As for you, Fairy Jishi, even if the ancient books in your hand really have various pill formulas, you must be able to refine them first." After speaking, Zheng Shouyue saw that Lu Jishi's face turned gloomy. Obviously, he hit his sore spot. He couldn't help being relieved for a while. The depression just now disappeared without a trace, and he left the Elder Council with a big laugh. Zheng Shouyue also suddenly remembered. If there is no pill refining method mentioned by Shiyu, even if I obtain the pill formula, I will not be able to refine it at all. Therefore, Lu Jishi may have pill formula in her hands, but she is absolutely lying when she said that she didn't think of refining it. And Shiyu's improvement of pill formula is definitely based on his own real talent. My student has amazing abilities. There will be times when you, Lu Jishi, will be jealous and go crazy in the future. Chapter 12-15. Immortal Mission Hall. The Mission Release Center of Miracle Healer Academy was an ancient building with carved beams and paintings. From the outside, the area of this ancient building was not large, but when one entered the lobby, he could feel the incomparable spaciousness. It was not a problem to keep thousands of people. Zhang Yi grabbed his brother Zhang Chong's sleeve and stood nervously in front of the ancient building. He looked up and saw the plaque with the words Immortal Mission Hall written on it. "Brother, my cultivation base is only at the meridian stage, and I haven't actually fought for many years. Are we really taking a mission?" Zhang Chong no longer had the decadence on his face at this time. Hearing that, he reached out and stroked his brother's head with a smile. "What are you afraid of? Brother will definitely earn points for you." Because of Zheng Shouyue's protection, Zhang Chong was not punished too severely. Only his points were deducted completely. However, because of his leak, Caillou was sent to the Spirit Extinct Valley, which ruined his life. Zhang Chong still felt extremely guilty. He had given up hope for his future, but he must give his younger brother a better future. Because Zhang Yi had been missing for several years, his cultivation has not improved, and he had no points. It was almost impossible for him to improve in Huang Medical Branch. The younger brother had such a good talent in beast taming. How could Zhang Chong let him waste his whole life? So even if he had lost hope for his own future, he must let his younger brother live a good life. In Miracle Healer Academy, one could do nothing without points. If one wanted to earn points quickly, the best way was to take a mission at Immortal Mission Hall. Zhang Chong dragged his younger brother into the Immortal Mission Hall, and the noisy atmosphere came at them. There were countless students and elders coming and going here every day, some who issue missions and some who accepted the missions. The mission level of Immortal Mission Hall was divided into 8 levels: Heaven, Earth, Xian, Huang, Yu, Zhou, Huang, which correspond to the names of the branches in the Miracle Healer Academy. The missions of each level would be projected on the bulletin board in detail, so that people could view and accept. Of course, Immortal Mission Hall also had higher-level missions, but only elders or those with a certain level of points could accept them. They wouldn't be posted publicly in the lobby either. The students who stood in front of each bulletin board and checked the missions were very distinct. In particular, students in the 4 upper courtyards generally wouldn't accept missions above Huang level, and students in the 4 lower courtyards did not dare to go to the bulletin boards of the first 4 levels. Therefore, when Zhang Chong took his younger brother to the Huang level mission bulletin board, everyone looked at him with curiosity and contempt. "Isn't this Zhang Chong? Have you forgotten that you are no longer a student of the Heaven Medical Branch? Why are you at the bulletin board of our 4 upper courtyards?" Zhang Yi was frightened by the unkind laughter. He could not wait to escape from here immediately. Zhang Chong said solemnly with a cold face. Is there a rule in Immortal Mission Hall that people from the 4 lower courtyards cannot accept Huang-level missions? After he finished speaking, he dragged Zhang Yijing to the bulletin board. After looking at it for a while, he immediately found a moderately difficult and suitable task. Zhang Chong came to the officer with the inscribed jade slip and said, "Hi, this is my inscribed jade slip. I want to take the mission of capturing the rank 3 magical beast of the Huang level. Please register it for me." The steward glanced lazily at Zhang Chong. Instead of picking up the inscribed jade slip in his hand, he sneered. "You're from the Huang medical branch? Are you sure you want to take the Huang level mission? You should see clearly. This is to catch the rank 3 magical beast, not kill the rank 3 magical beast, and this magical beast often stays in a group. Don't blame me if you die in the mission." Chapter 12:16. Make things difficult. Zhang Chong's face turned gloomy. He wanted to refute this officer, but he had to endure it and said, "I know the danger of the mission, but I still want to accept this mission. Please help. Officer Zhang, we want to take this mission too. Please register for us." Zhang Chong was interrupted before he could finish his words. A student dressed in Earth Medical Branch gave Zhang Chong a provocative look and handed over his inscribed jade slip. The officer's face was immediately filled with a smile. He took the inscribed jade slip from the student without hesitation and made the registration. Zhang Chong took a deep breath and suppressed the anger in his heart. "Officer Zhang, please help me. Go away, don't bother me." Officer Zhang waved his hand impatiently. "This mission quota is full. You find another mission." Each mission had an upper limit of simultaneous acceptance. Some were 1, and some were a few. Once the amount was filled, the mission would be removed from the board. Zhang Chong glared angrily. "Officer Zhang, I clearly asked for registration first." The officer sneered. Without even looking at him, he handed the registered inscribed jade slip to the student of the Earth Medical Branch. The student of Earth Medical Branch took the inscribed jade slip and smiled smugly at Zhang Chong. "You should know your limit. If I were from the Huang Medical Branch, I would be embarrassed to come to Immortal Mission Hall, but you even dare to take a Huang-level mission. Stop kidding us." "You." Zhang Chong wanted to get angry, but he was pulled by Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi's face was flushed, and he said with pleading in his eyes, "Brother, if you fight in Immortal Mission Hall, you will be punished severely. Forget it, brother, let's go." Zhang Chong's hands loosened and clenched several times before suppressing the anger in his heart. "Little E, don't worry. If we can't take this mission, we'll change another mission." After speaking, Zhang Chong took Zhang Yi back to the bulletin board. However, the same scene was repeated again. Zhang Chong asked the officer to register with the inscribed jade slip, but the officer always ignored him. If other students from the 4 upper courtyards came to register, he greeted them with a smile. Zhang Chong repeated it several times, and it was the same. The mission he chose would be taken every time. He finally knew that these people were indeed deliberately making things difficult for him, and would never let him take the mission. "Mr. Jiang, Immortal Mission Hall has stipulated that anyone can accept mission of all levels. You have violated the regulations of the Immortal Mission Hall. Aren't you afraid that I report this to the Elder Council?" "Ha ha ha." Officer Jiang laughed loudly when he heard the words. "Do you think a trash from Huang Medical Branch can speak to the Elder Council? We won't let you accept the missions of the 4 upper courtyards for your own good. You have crossed the line yourself, so don't blame us for bullying you." Zhang Chong's eyes were filled with anger, and his body trembled slightly. "Don't go too far. I can choose what level of mission to take. Although I'm in the Huang Medical Branch, I have the ability to take the mission of the 4 upper courtyards. Why can't I take it? Whoever has the strength will take the mission. Isn't this the rule of the Immortal Mission Hall?" Director Jiang smiled mockingly and said lightly, "Okay, you want to take the 4 upper courtyards mission, right? Now there are only heaven-level missions left. Do you want to take it?" Zhang Chong was speechless for a while. Chapter 12:17. Heaven-level mission. Heaven-level quest. Even if he used to be in Heaven Medical Branch, he would not dare to accept it randomly. That was a mission with a danger level so high that it might kill him. Officer Zhang and a few students from Heaven and Earth Medical Branch suddenly laughed out loud. Didn't you arrogantly say that whoever has the strength can take the mission? Why are you scared now? Zhang Chang's face flushed red. He was about to rush forward to say that he wanted to take the mission, but was immediately pulled by someone. A young man from the Xian Medical Branch shook his head at Zhang Chong and said, Zhang Chong, don't be impulsive. You can simply take heaven-level mission. This young man had been helped by Zhang Chong, so now he kindly reminded him. The young man vaguely pointed to a tall and slender man not far away and said in a low voice, See that? Do you remember who that person is? Do you want to randomly accept a mission and end up like him? Zhang Chong's eyes followed the young man's fingers, and he quickly saw who the person was. He trembled. All his anger turned into fear. He no longer dared to say that he was going to accept heaven-level mission. Officer Jiang and the students had anticipated that Zhang Chong would chicken out, so they looked at each other, laughed and left. No one cared about Zhang Chong anymore. Zhang Yi also breathed a sigh of relief. Seeing that his brother kept looking at the man not far away, he couldn't help but wonder, Brother, who is that person? Do you know him? Zhang Chong's brows twitched. He said hoarsely after a while, His name is Jin Ziyu. He used to be the president of the Academy Student Council. What? Zhang Yi exclaimed. Even though he had been locked in a small courtyard, he knew what kind of existence the president of the Academy Student Council was. But why? This person had a handsome appearance, sharp and calm eyes, but his spiritual power fluctuations are chaotic and weak. His cultivation is clearly worse than mine. How can such a person become the president of the Academy Student Council? Zhang Chong sighed and said in a low voice, When Jin Ziyu was the president, I hadn't joined the Academy Student Council, but I also knew that he was extremely talented and had the best strength. At that time, even Lu Zixi, the current president, would be overshadowed by his talents. However, an accident happened 3 years ago. What accident? Jin Ziyu took on a heaven-level mission, which was the most difficult one. No one could finish the mission. However, everyone thought that if it was Jin Ziyu, he would definitely accomplish the mission. But in the end he failed. Not only did he fail, but Jin Ziyu's confidants, the former Academy Student Council's officers, were killed and injured more than half. He himself was also seriously injured, and his cultivation had plummeted to the foundation establishment stage. In this way, he is completely useless. Zhang Yi exclaimed and said in disbelief, How could it be like this? No one knows what happened in that mission. Zhang Chong shook his head and said, Miracle Healer Academy is a place where the strong prey on the weak and respect the strength. Jin Ziyu's cultivation has dropped greatly, and he almost has no chance of advancing to the nascent soul stage in his life, so he had been dismissed from the president of the Academy Student Council. He was also transferred to the Huang Medical Branch. Jin Ziyu can be considered a man of perseverance. In just over 2 years he returned from the foundation establishment stage to the meridian stage intermediate stage, but, sigh, a good genius is ruined after all. Chapter 12:18. Ungrateful. After Zhang Chong said this, he was a little dispirited. He took Zhang Yi to accept 2U level missions, and was about to leave. Quests down the 4th level earn very few points and are often tedious, taking a lot of work instead. This was not the way Zhang Chong hoped to earn points, but he had no other way. When Zhang Chong was about to leave, a group of people was about to come into the Immortal Mission Hall. Zhang Chong used to be from the Heaven Medical Branch, so he naturally knew who these people were. The man in the middle of the gold core stage, who looked 20 years old, was called Tu Yonghao. Relying on his elder, who was an elder in the Miracle Healer Academy, and his talent, he had always been arrogant and domineering. So Zhang Chong disliked him very much. When Tu Yonghao passed by Zhang Chong, he glanced at him disdainfully, but he ignored him. Instead, he walked straight past Jin Ziyu and bumped him heavily. This bump used spiritual power, so Jin Ziyu stumbled for a while. Tu Yonghao pretended to have just discovered it, and he turned around and exaggeratedly shouted, "Oh, I wonder who did I bump into? It turns out to be President Jin. Did I President Jin just now? After all, President Jin only has so much cultivation now." Halfway through, he suddenly paused and pretended to slap his face. He laughed. No, please forgive my poor memory. I forgot that Jin Ziyu, you are no longer the president. How arrogant were you back then, President Jin? It was really hard to just see your face. Ha ha ha. Jin Ziyu slowly stood up straight. There was no emotional fluctuation on his handsome face, but his eyes were deep and scary. When Tu Yonghao was being stared like this, he immediately felt horrified. After realizing that he was afraid of a foundation establishment stage trash, he said in anger, Jin Ziyu, what is that gaze? Don't forget that you are just a trash in the Huang Medical Branch. Do you still think you are the president of the Academy Student Council? As he said, he stepped forward and released spirit pressure. Zhang Cheng frowned as he watched from the side. Thinking that someone like Jin Ziyu had been reduced to the current field, he felt unbearable in his heart. However, he was also in a difficult situation now. How could he still meddle in others' business? However, just as Tu Yonghao was about to approach Jin Ziyu, 3 people quickly ran out of the crowd to block in front of Jin Ziyu. One of them, a burly man, stopped in front of Jin Ziyu and said angrily to Tu Yonghao, Tu Yonghao, what are you doing? In front of so many people, are you going to bully boss in the Immortal Mission Hall? Zhang Cheng was stunned to see that the burly man's cultivation was at the Gold Core early stage while the other 2 were also at the peak of the Meridian stage. But they were all wearing Huang Medical Branch's clothing. As soon as Tu Yonghao saw the burly man, he immediately squinted and sneered. Qian Dezhuang, I didn't expect you to be so committed to Jin Ziyu. He is only at the Meridian stage now, but you are still willing to be his dog. Haha, Qian Dezhuang. Are you born to be cheap? Or did you forget how you got transferred away from the Heaven Medical Branch? When the man named Qian Dezhuang heard the words, he cursed angrily. Tu Yonghao, I'm not an ungrateful dog like you. Did you forget that boss saved you once? If it weren't for him, do you think you can live until today? If I knew you are such an ungrateful animal, I should have let you die in that magical beast forest. Chapter 12:19. Kowtow. 3 times Qian Dazhuang's words made Tu Yonghao's face turn green and white. His cold and resentful eyes shifted from Qian Dazhuang to Jin Ziyu. Then he gritted his teeth and said, Bah, what savior! If it weren't for you, Jin Ziyu, I would have been the backbone of the Academy Student Council now. If it weren't for you, I will be expelled from the Academy Student Council, and I will have no improvement in cultivation that I'm almost kicked out of Heaven Medical Branch. The more Tu Yonghao said, the more angry he became. When you were the president, I served you like my master, but what did you do? You just gave the position of the deputy president to someone else in a blink of an eye. Haha, what's the result? The person you were looking for didn't die in that heaven-level mission, and you yourself fell to a miserable end. Jin Ziyu, let me tell you, this is your retribution. Having said that, Tu Yonghao walked in front of Jin Ziyu in a few steps, and the people behind him immediately surrounded Jin Ziyu and Qian Dazhuang at his signal. Jin Ziyu's eyes were cold, and he said in a deep voice, What do you want to do? What do I want to do? Tu Yonghao laughed. What? Are you afraid now? You want me to let you go? Okay, if you Jin Ziyu kneel down and kowtow 3 times, I'll let you go. How about that? Before Jin Ziyu said anything, Qian Dazhuang was already furious. He pulled Jin Ziyu behind him. Tu Yonghao, you dare. Tu Yonghao laughed even more wildly. Want to try if I dare? With that said, he turned his gaze to Jin Ziyu. If you don't kowtow to me, it will be the dogs around you who will suffer. As soon as he said that, the students who surrounded Jin Ziyu got a signal from Tu Yonghao and attacked. The students in Xianlifang who were taking the missions all stopped their business and looked here. Some people resented Tu Yonghao's arrogance, but no one dared to go against Tu Yonghao. Although Tu Yonghao's grades in Heaven Medical Branch can only be at the bottom, he has an uncle who is an elder, and some students in Miracle Healer Academy are willing to be his thugs. If someone stood up for Tu Yonghao and offended Jin Ziyuqiang, his future would be difficult. The officer of the Immortal Mission Hall also knew that it was wrong to fight here, but he could only turn a blind eye to it. Most people under Tu Yonghao were from the Earth Medical Branch, and there were also 2 elites from the Heaven Medical Branch. Each of them was at the Gold Core stage. How could Jin Ziyu and his subordinates be their opponents? Qian Dazhuang, who had been trying his best to protect Jinziyu, was kicked in the abdomen, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The other two were also kicked onto the ground. Their faces were pale, and their bodies twitched in pain. Tu Yonghao raised the sword in his hand and gestured it on Qian Dazhuang's body. Seeing Jinziyu's tense look, he immediately laughed and said, "Don't worry, I won't kill people in the Immortal Mission Hall. But well, it's just a trash of the Huang medical branch. If I abolish his cultivation a little, no one will question me, right? Jinziyu, are you kowtowing or not?" Jinziyu took a deep breath. His body was stretched straight from the humiliation, and his hands were clenched into fists. Blood dripped from his fingers. However, when he closed his eyes and opened them again, his eyes were already deep and clear. Chapter 12:20. Get out of the way. Jinziyu bent his knees and knelt to the ground with a thud. Then he said slowly, "Please, let Dazhuang and the others go." Ha 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 ha. Tu Yonghao's wild and unbridled laughter echoed in the Immortal Mission Hall. Okay. Jinziyu, you have such a day too? However, I remember I said that you have to kneel down and kowtow 3 times. You have just knelt down. Do you think that's enough? Jinziyu's lips trembled slightly. When he was about to kneel down, Tu Yonghao, who was stepped on by Qian Dazhuang, suddenly pounced toward Tu Yonghao furiously. "Bastard, I'll kill you." But how could Qian Dazhuang compete with Tu Yonghao with his cultivation? He just rushed in front of Tu Yonghao, and he was kicked away by him. The huge body flew straight in the direction of the gate enchantment. The momentum was so fierce that all the onlookers evaded in a panic. Seeing that Qian Dazhuang's body was about to fly out of the gate enchantment, a young man slowly appeared in the center of the gate. When Qian Dazhuang's body was about to collide with the young man, a pair of slender hands stretched out, caught him easily and put him on the ground. Qian Dazhuang spat out a mouthful of blood. He fell in front of the young man with a weak breath. He seemed to be seriously injured, but his life was saved. The young man didn't seem to see the strong man who fell in front of him at all, and he just walked past him and went toward the direction of the heaven-level mission area. In the hall of Immortal Mission Hall, it fell into complete silence. All eyes were on the young man. He wasn't tall, and even a little thin, but his figure was slim, giving people an infatuation beauty. That face was as bright as the bright moon, as bright as a star. The lights in Immortal Mission Hall hit his face, making his face look like picturesque. His skin was as smooth as a cultivated white jade, and his long eyelashes drooped slightly, half covering those twinkling phoenix eyes. The young man walked slowly in the hall with seemingly no spiritual power fluctuation. He was at the foundation establishment stage at a glance, but no one dared to underestimate him. Even the students of Heaven Medical Branch were silent when they saw him. They kept quiet and looked away to avoid provoking him. The young man seemed to be the focus of everyone, but he wasn't bothered by the attention. He walked straight to the direction of the heaven-level mission area. But he soon found that the road ahead was blocked by Tu Yonghao's people who surrounded Jinziyu. The young man raised his long eyelashes, glanced at Tu Yonghao with cold gaze and said coldly, "Get out of the way." Tu Yonghao's scorching eyes glanced at the young man. Then he trembled and stepped back. But after taking a step back, he suddenly woke up and said angrily, "Shiyu, are you commanding me?" That's right. The young man who just entered Immortal Mission Hall was naturally hushy. She wanted to enter the enchantment, read more books, and study pill refining and array. But in this Miracle Healer Academy, these all require crystal stones. So she chose the easiest way and ran to Immortal Mission Hall to take the highest level mission and earn crystal stones in the fastest way. As for the disputes between others in Immortal Mission Hall, she had no interest in it. However, whoever stood in front of her, don't blame her for being rude. Chapter 12:21. Troublemaker Hushi sneered at the man in the gold core stage in front of him, and he said slowly, "Why? Don't want to make way? You want to taste the feeling of being thrown out? Or, you really want me to slice open your throat?" Hushi never forgets it. Maybe she didn't recognize him when she saw Tu Yonghao, but after searching in her memory, she quickly remembered it. Isn't he the gold core stage student who provoked her, and didn't let me sit down in the Heaven Medical Branch? It seemed that he didn't learn from the previous lesson. From Hushy's right wrist, a purple vine flew out quietly and swayed slightly in the air, but her face was full of threatening half-smile. Tu Yonghao only felt a burst of anger in his heart, but when he saw the young man's cold eyes and the purple vine, his original anger turned into panic. The students who were originally instructed by Tu Yonghao all backed away with disheartened faces. They were unwilling to provoke the troublemaker, Shiyu. Yeah, the person in front of him was Shiyu. Although she was also a student of Huang Medical Branch, Shiyu was not expelled. She abandoned Heaven Medical Branch and ran to Huang Medical Branch. Many people saw Dean Li Qingquan trying his best to keep her, but he was rejected by Shiyu. Shiyu's strength shocked everyone even more. Even though she was only at the Foundation Establishment stage, she defeated Feng Yinqing at the Gold Core Stage Intermediate stage, and she was able to compete with Rank 7 Magical Beast in Elusive Forest. In addition to those who offended and framed Shiyu at the beginning, Chen Jianqing and Feng Yinqing were dead. Kaiyu was expelled to Spirit Extinct Valley for his lifetime. Even Elder Qin and Elder Fu, one was kicked out of the Miracle Healer Academy, and one was demoted to guard the equipment warehouse. Everyone who offended Shiyu didn't end well, so how could they not be fearful of her? Tu Yonghao felt the atmosphere around him. No matter how unwilling he was, he could only obediently back away under Shiyu's sneering gaze. There was no obstacle in front of Hushy. She went straight to the heaven-level mission bulletin board. After looking around, she found that there was still a mission with a very high level of difficulty, collecting snow Ganoderma grass. She didn't even think about it before walking to the officer counter. I want to take the heaven-level mission to collect snow Ganoderma grass. Please help me register. As Hushy said, she took out her inscribed jade slip and handed it to the officer of the heaven-level mission area. However, after she handed out her hand for a long time, the officer looked at her in a dazed. He didn't come back to his senses for a long time. Hushy frowned and said displeasedly, "Did you hear me? Brother Shiyu." Before the officer could answer, a boy's delighted voice came from her ears. Hushy turned around and met Zhang Yijing's adoring eyes, and she couldn't help but smile. "Little E, why are you here?" Zhang Yi grabbed Zhang Chong and came to Hushy. "Brother Shiyu, this is my brother Zhang Chong. My brother and I came here to take over the task." Hushy glanced at Zhang Chong. He immediately lowered his head in shame, not knowing how to place his hands and feet in embarrassment. For Shiyu, Zhang Chong couldn't help but feel guilty. He had never done anything bad in his life, but he did something against his conscience on this young man. Even if it was made up later, there was no way to offset the unease and regret. Chapter 1222. Team mission. Of course, Hushy recognized Zhang Chong, but she didn't have much anger. After all, Zhang Chong was just a pawn that was used by others. She just nodded slightly at Zhang Chong. For Zhang Yi's sake, Hushy would not blame him. Zhang Chong felt relieved when he saw the young man's natural smile. Hushy's attention had turned to the mission. Zhang Yi saw this, and he remembered how these people made things difficult for him and his brother just now. He complained furiously. "Brother Shiyu, they are too bad. Just now my brother and I came to accept the mission. They said that the students of Huang Medical Branch are only worthy of receiving the Huang-level missions. No one wanted to process our request to accept the 4 upper-level missions, and they even ridiculed us." Zhang Chong was a little stunned. My younger brother, who was still afraid of causing trouble, actually complained to Shiyu with righteous indignation. Moreover, my younger brother looks at Shiyu with confidence as if he is not worried that Shiyu will be in trouble. Is this Shiyu really so powerful? "Oh," Hushy responded with a slightly upturned voice as if mocking and sneering. She glanced at the officer. "I'm a student of the Huang Medical Branch, so I can't take on the heaven-level mission, is that right?" No. Absolutely not." The officer in charge of the heaven-level mission suddenly recovered his sense. His face turned pale, and he immediately denied it. "Accepting missions is the freedom of every student. We will never dare to change the rules without authorization." "It's just what?" Hushy raised her eyebrow. "Is there any problem with me taking this mission?" No problem." The officer shook his head again and again. Then he reminded cautiously, It's just that the heaven-level missions are very dangerous. In order to ensure the safety of the students, the Academy has stipulated the conditions for accepting the heaven-level missions. That is, the number of people involved must be more than 10 to avoid too many casualties in the mission. Therefore, Student Shi, if you take the mission now, you have to gather 10 people. Only then we can initiate the teleportation array to send you guys to the mission location. This regulation was understandable. After all, the safety of students was still very important to Miracle Healer Academy. For example, in this mission to collect Snow Ganoderma grass, the Snow Ganoderma grass was only rank 5, but it belonged to a kind of magical beast companion grass. Generally, there will be rank 6 magical beast next to the Snow Ganoderma grass, and more than one. Rank 6 magical beast. Even the martial artists of nascent soul stage had some difficulty to deal with it, let alone gold core stage students. It was just this rule that stumped Hushi. She hadn't been in the academy for long, so she had just known a few people. Even if Zhang Yi, Zhang Cheng, and Wei Qingyuan were included, there were only 4. Moreover, Wei Qingyuan had been busy arranging the diagnosis and treatment of the mysterious man recently. It was even a problem to see him. Zhang Yi said without hesitation, "Brother Shiyu, can my brother and I also participate?" The corner of Zhang Cheng's mouth twitched. My brother decided for me without even asking me? He suddenly felt that his position in his younger brother's mind had been left far behind by Shiyu. Holding the inscribed jade slip, Hushi said helplessly, "Even so, there are only 3 of us." Zhang Yi looked around and asked in a clear voice, "Any of you willing to do this heaven-level mission with us?" Chapter 12:23. 3 more. The students in the Immortal Mission Hall shook their heads one after another, secretly laughing at Zhang Yi for being ignorant. He didn't understand the horror of the heaven-level mission at all. However, Shiyu was there, so they didn't dare to say bad words. They just took a step back, expressing their unwillingness. Zhang Yi puffed up his cheeks depressedly. These people are really stupid. Brother Shiyu is so powerful, he will definitely be able to complete the heaven-level mission. By then, won't they get a lot of points? You will regret missing such a good opportunity in vain. Suddenly, Zhang Yi's eyes fell on Jin Ziyu. He suddenly remembered his brother saying that Jin Ziyu used to be so powerful. Moreover, when they were bullied by Tu Yonghao and the others, they didn't give in, which made Zhang Yi both sympathize and admire them. He ran in front of Jin Ziyu and said with shining eyes, "Would you like to join us in the heaven-level mission?" Jin Ziyu was stunned for a moment. The boy's eyes were clear and his expression sincere. He didn't mean to ridicule him at all. Jin Ziyu raised his head and looked at the mission of collecting Snow Ganoderma grass. That is Snow Ganoderma grass. The originally dark and deep eyes fluctuated for a while, and there seemed to be a trace of emotion on the calm and unwavering face. However, the surrounding discussions, especially Tu Yonghao's laughter, just came into his ears. "Ha ha ha, you actually asked Jin Ziyu to join the team? I advise you to change someone else. Otherwise, I don't know how miserable you will be during the mission." Jin Ziyu's eyes darkened. He looked at Zhang Yi and said softly, "You have seen it. My current cultivation is not stable even in the meridian stage intermediate stage. If I follow you, I will only drag you down." Zhang Yi was stunned when he heard the words, and he immediately turned his inquiring eyes to Hushi. Hushi glanced at Jin Ziyu and raised his eyebrows. "How many people do you have?" Jin Ziyu was stunned for a moment. Before he could speak, a man beside him immediately said, "The 3 of us must follow boss to protect him." 3 plus Jin Ziyu, that's 4? Great, so there are 7. Hushi nodded happily. "Okay, little E, convince them to join in." Jin Ziyu's eyes flickered and he blurted out, "Didn't you see it? Our cultivation is only meridian stage, and De Zhuang is seriously injured. He can't recover in a short time." Hushi glanced at the muscular man who was staggering back from the door. Then she smirked. "It doesn't matter. He just has to come. As for the injury, it's just a small problem. It will definitely be cured before departing." Zhang Yi pulled his eyes back from Hushi, looking at Jin Ziyu with a proud expression of "Look, my brother Shiyu is so cool, handsome and arrogant. Brother Jin, can you join us?" Brother Shiyu is very powerful. As long as he is there, we will definitely be able to complete the mission. Jin Ziyu looked stunned, stood for a long time, finally nodded and said, "Okay, we join." 7 people, 3 more. Hushi touched her chin with a headache. She glanced across the faces of everyone on the field. She was thinking whether to feed someone with the 100-day death powder and threaten them to sign up first. The students present felt immense stress being glanced by Hushi. They took a few steps back in fear. Chapter 12:24. Bunch of trash say, "Senior Shiyu, can I join too?" A pale young man walked out of the crowd. Hushi quickly recognized the young man. He was from the Huang medical branch too, and he was an acquaintance. It was the young man who helped her process the herbs when she was refining the blood-healing pill some time ago. The young man's face was still pale at this time. He walked up to Hushi anxiously, lowered his head and said, "Senior Shiyu, my name is Fang Yuan. My 2 friends and I are willing to join, but our cultivation is only at the meridian stage later stage. Moreover, except from refining some low-grade medicinal pills, we can't do anything else. Senior Shi, can we join too?" Hushi looked at the 2 people behind. Indeed, their cultivation and their roots were only average. However, she didn't care about their cultivation at all because she could complete the mission on her own. Now all she lacked is the number of people. So she smiled. "Okay, welcome to join." Fang Fun was stunned for a moment, then there was a hint of ecstasy in his eyes. But Fang Yuan's friend stepped forward and pulled him. Then they said to Hushi anxiously, "Say, Senior Shiyu, we can join, but if we can survive, can you promise us one thing?" "Say it." Fang Yuan had an anxious look on his face. He wanted to pull his friend back, but the young man's expression was firm, and he was less nervous. He said, "Senior Shiyu, Fang Yuan has blood deficiency since young. No matter what medicine he takes, it is useless. The blood healing pill can relieve the pain, but it increases the fire poison in his body. Senior Shiyu, I heard that your medical skills are very high. Can you cure Fang Yuan's illness?" "Blood deficiency?" Hushi smiled and said without hesitation, "Okay, no problem." Without a trace of hesitation, she promised decisively. Fang Yuan's body trembled heavily, and tears were rolling in his eyes. "Senior Shiyu, can my illness really be cured?" Before Hushi could speak, Zhang Yi rushed over and boasted, "Student Fang, don't worry. Brother Shiyu's medical skills are amazing. My illness is much weirder than yours, but Brother Shiyu only uses half a month to cure it. Your blood deficiency is not a terminal illness, so you must be fine." Fang Yuan nodded heavily when he heard the words. His friends also showed look joyful. Qian Dazhuang and others on the side also heard Hushi's conversation. Qian Dazhuang couldn't help but grab Jin Ziyu's hand and said in a trembling voice, "Boss, did you hear that? They said that Shiyu's medical skills are very high." Jin Ziyu's eyes lit up but then dimmed again. A bitter smile emerged on his mouth. Hushi no longer hesitated, and immediately submitted the inscribed jade slip to let the officer register the mission. The students on the side whispered gloatingly, "See, it's a whole team of Huang Medical Branch. If this kind of team can complete the heaven-level mission, that would be a miracle." Yeah. No matter how powerful Shiyu is, with a group of Meridian stage trash, what can he do? He will only drag himself down. Ha ha ha. Tu Yonghao looked even more sullen. He gave Jin Ziyu a cold look, waved to the person behind him and left. Chapter 12:25. Illness. The Sun Moon Mountain Range was located in the northwest of Miracle Healer Academy. Not far from Miracle Healer Academy, it was covered with green spiritual plants all year round, and the spiritual power in the mountains was strong, giving birth to a lot of magical beasts. Like the magical beasts in Breaking Spirit Mountain, the magical beasts here usually didn't have intelligence. They couldn't transform into human form. Miracle Healer Academy had set up mini enchantments and teleportation arrays in the Sun Moon Mountain Range for students to practice and find rare materials here. Of course, because the magical beast level in the Sun Moon Mountain Range was usually relatively high, the difficulty level of missions related to this mountain range was relatively high. The map that Hushi stole from Lu Jishi also marked the Sun Moon Mountain Range, but it wasn't in detail. It only roughly differentiated the level area of the magical beast, and it also indicated the locations where the 5th grade spiritual grass might appear. But that was already enough for Hushi. She never backed down on the matter, she decided. After confirming the approximate location of the snow Ganoderma grass, she decided to set off the next day. It was just dawn. The dormitory area of Huang Medical Branch was still in complete silence. But in a dormitory in a remote area to the west, the lights were lit on amid a piercing cough. "Boss, how are you? Is it the illness again?" Qian Dazhuang, Chen Xiaofeng and the another one suddenly woke up from their sleep and rushed to Jin Ziyu's bed. Jin Ziyu's face flushed with fright, and the heartbreaking cough couldn't stop no matter what. Qian Dazhuang hurriedly took a packet of medicinal powder from the side and wanted Jin Ziyu to eat it, but Jin Ziyu knocked it away. The medicinal powder was scattered all over the place, and the powder filled the air, exuding a sweet floral fragrance. Qian Dazhuang panicked. "Boss, what are you doing?" Jin Ziyu coughed again for a while, and he spurted blood on the sheets and bedding. Qian Dazhuang and Chen Xiaofeng looked at each other with ugly expressions. However, Jin Ziyu finally recovered. His face had returned to normal, only the frightening purple was still on his lips. Chen Xiaofeng said worriedly, "Boss, if you don't take medicine, your next onset will be more serious. Moreover, that is the last package of medicine we have." There was a sneering wry smile at Jin Ziyu's mouth. "You guys really didn't find out? I have taken this medicine for so long. Can it heal me? No, it will only completely destroy my body and cultivation little by little, turning me into complete trash." Qian Dazhuang and Chen Xiaofeng both showed sad expressions. In fact, how could they not know the side effects of this medicine? But if he didn't take the medicine, his illness would become more and more serious. They and Jin Ziyu were brothers who had been through life and death. Watching their boss dying little by little, the feeling couldn't even be described as burning with anxiety. Jin Ziyu's expression immediately regained his composure. He glanced out the window, and a faint light came in through the window. "Dazhuang, is your injury really healed?" Qian Dazhuang immediately patted his chest when he heard the words. He said with a face full of surprise, "Yeah, I'm fully recovered. Hey boss, this kid named Shi really has some skills. Previously, if I suffered such an injury, I need at least 8 days to recover. But after taking his medicine, I actually recover in 1 day. Not only that, I also feel that my spiritual power seems to become more pure and solid." Chapter 12:26. Ignorant Jin Ziyu's brows moved slightly, and he murmured, "Shiyu." Chen Xiaofeng reached out and grabbed the window edge of the upper bunk, and he looked at Jin Ziyu nervously. "Boss, do you think Shiyu's medical skills are really that high? If he can cure your disease, then..." Qian Dazhuang's eyes lit up, and he nodded again and again. "Boss, I think so too. As long as Shiyu can cure your disease, even if he let us be his servant for a lifetime, we will do it." Jin Ziyu shook his head with a wry smile. "Don't forget who caused my injury. No matter how good Shiyu is, can he be better than that person? Can he heal the internal injuries he left behind?" The dark and deep eyes slowly shrouded the numbness of despair and the unwillingness of resentment. He clenched his teeth tightly as if he wanted to tear something alive. However, everything was like an ever-ending dark night. There was no light of hope at all. The greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. Jin Ziyu closed his eyes. His voice was indescribably desolate. "Forget it. This time we only need to protect ourselves and get a snow Ganoderma grass. That's enough." Chen Xiaofeng's heart shuddered when he heard the words. His eyes were hot and wet. He slammed the wall with one hand. He knew that boss had given up on himself. He agreed to join Shiyu's party in this heaven-level mission, mainly because they could earn more points. He didn't want to drag them down. He wanted the snow Ganoderma grass to let him advance, so he risked his life to pick it. Chen Xiaofeng's spiritual root attribute was the dual spiritual root of mutated ice and earth. Over the years, his cultivation had been stuck at the peak of Meridian stage and couldn't make any progress. That was because the cultivation environment and resources of Huang Medical Branch were really poor. With snow Ganoderma grass, Chun Xiaofeng could promote to the gold core stage within half a year. But boss, is there really no cure for him? In the morning, the teleportation array to the Sun-Moon Mountain Range was already crowded with people. Zhang Yi, Fang Yun and the others were waiting there early. All of them were excited. Last night, Zhang Chong watched his silly brother stay up all night. He was so excited that he couldn't sleep. Now seeing Fang Yun and his two friends, he couldn't help shaking his head helplessly and worriedly. These little guys have been in the Huang medical branch all the time, so they don't even know the horror of the heaven-level mission. They actually treat this mission like an outing. But think about their team. Except me and that Qian Dazhuang are at the gold core stage, others are at the meridian stage. Oh no. There is also a Shiyu at the foundation establishment stage. How can such a party complete the heaven-level mission? It's already good that all of us don't die. Do they see the gloating look of the students around? Zhang Chong gritted his teeth and could only swear to himself that he would protect his younger brother no matter what, even sacrificing his own life. When Jin Ziyu and his three subordinates arrived, the laughter grew louder. A bunch of rubbish from Huang Medical Branch dares to challenge the heaven-level mission? Ha ha ha, they are so ignorant. Should we bet how many days they can stay in the Sun-Moon Mountain Range before they run away like a dog? How many days? I think they will be able to hold on even in a few hours. Especially when they even stupidly brought Jin Ziyu. That trash can't even take care of himself. What else can he do except be a burden? Ha! Chapter 1227. Brain is crazy. I think Shiyu has been touted too much recently that his brain is crazy. He actually... Before the person could finish speaking, he suddenly felt a pain in his left cheek. A terrifying killing intent came to him. The hair on the temple beside his left cheek fell, accompanied by hair that fell from his cheek. The man trembled. His first reaction was not surprise and anger, but the fear of being completely suppressed. Immediately afterward, everyone saw the beautiful young man toward them. The dense long eyelashes were like small fans, gently drooping and lifting. She glanced at the man whose temple hair was cut with ridicule and said with a smile, "I'm sorry, whose brain did you say is crazy? I didn't hear it clearly. Can you say it again?" The soft and slow voice was so pleasant to the ear, but it made the student step back in fear. His head was shaking anxiously and his eyes were full of fear, but he couldn't say a word for a long time. Beside the teleportation array, there was silence. Even if Heaven and Earth Medical Branch were dissatisfied with Shiyu's arrogance, no one spoke up at this time. Not only because offending Shiyu on this trivial matter was not worth it, but also because the young man exuded an unmatched king aura, which made people inexplicably fear and surrender. Hashi looked around. Seeing that no one spoke, he waved to Zhang Yi and the others, "Let's go." The light of the teleportation array flickered and dimmed. The 10 figures disappeared without a trace in front of everyone. This time, all people breathed a sigh of relief and looked at each other for a while. They couldn't even curse. Someone couldn't help but mutter, "Why do I feel that facing Shiyu is more stressful than facing President Liu Zixi?" There were also the Academy Student Council's officers among the onlookers. Hearing this, their complexion looked ugly. Shiyu used her face slaps and strengths again and again to make the people in the Miracle Healer Academy dare not underestimate her. After they got teleported away, the people who were watching the excitement naturally retreated. However, after the crowd dispersed, a group of people quietly came to this teleportation array. Each of these people was at the level of the gold core stage. The young man leader even reached the gold core stage later stage. He looked at the center of the teleportation array with scorching eyes and sneered, "Jin Ziyu, if you have been obediently staying in Miracle Healer Academy, I really can't do anything about you. I didn't expect that you want to look for death yourself. It seems to be your destiny to die in the Sun-Moon Mountain Range." A young man dressed in Heaven Medical Branch beside him said in a low voice, "Brother Wu, I heard that Jin Ziyu enters the Sun-Moon Mountain Range with Shiyu. If we meet Shiyu, that Shiyu is just at the mere foundation establishment stage. Why would our brother Wu, the gold core stage later stage, be afraid of him?" Another man next to the young man called Brother Wu sneered, "If Shiyu doesn't meddle into our business, let him be. If he dares to stand up for Jin Ziyu, then don't blame us for being rude. Angkor sneered. This time no matter what, I will let that Jin Ziyu die in agony to repay the hatred for humiliating me. Let's go. After speaking, several people took out their inscribed jade slips and entered the teleportation array. Chapter 12:28. Reserved food. A white shadow flashed somewhere in the Sun-Moon Mountain range, and the 10 figures of Hushi's party appeared on the field. It was a lush jungle. Zhang Yi had lived in town since he was a child. Apart from his experience in the entrance examination, he had never seen a real jungle and wilderness. Feng Yuan and his friends were all focused on the spiritual herbs around him. Feng Yuan threw himself on the ground, stoked a green spiritual herb, and said excitedly, "Is this the Sun-Moon Mountain range? It's really like what they said. There are spiritual herbs everywhere. Look, this is the grade 1 Qiang herb, and that is the grade 1 Lingling flower. I have never seen so many herbs even in the medical field of Miracle Healer Academy. Bumpkin, do you need to make a fuss about grade 1 spiritual herbs?" Feng Yuan and his friends were amazed when a childish voice with contempt suddenly came from the side. As soon as this sound came out, 9 people all looked over. Around Shiyu there were 4 spiritual beasts, right? A pink pig, a black magical beast dragon with the size of 2 palms, a pink fox with silver fur, and an indescribable ugly cow. Everyone present looked at these 4 little animals and couldn't even describe their feelings. But shouldn't spiritual beasts look like the domineering tiger, lion and dragon that were kept in the spiritual beast garden in the Miracle Healer Academy? This pig, cow, etc. were in mini size. Were they still considered spiritual pets? But if they weren't spiritual pets, how could Shiyu take them out of thin air? In the audience, Zhang Yi was probably the only one who thought they were very cute. Because of his talent in animal taming, he always felt that these 4 little ones were not easy. "Brother Shiyu, are these your spiritual pets?" Hushi nodded and said helplessly, "Don't worry about them. We will do our own mission. These little guys are bored in the spirit beast space, so they have to come out for a stroll." Standing beside Jin Ziyu, Chen Xiaofeng said worriedly, "But the Sun-Moon Mountain range is very dangerous. Shiyu, do you spiritual beasts have the ability to protect themselves? We don't have the ability to save them." Humph. Chen Xiaofeng's good-hearted worries were exchanged for the disdainful eyes of Little Egg and Little Golden Dragon. "Who wants you to save me? With your cultivation, you aren't even worthy of holding shoes for me." As Little Egg said, he ran to Hushi's side, grabbed her trousers and said coquettishly, "Mom, there is no food left in the void. Little Egg can only eat crystal stones and spiritual fruits now. I can't even taste anything now." The Hushi's mouth twitched and she said angrily, "You still dare to say it? Who ate all the reserved food? This group of foodies who only know to eat, but can't grow up. I prepare so many delicious foods in the space, but I didn't even take a few bites. I only sent Nangongyu a few portions, then these 4 little ones had finished them all." Little Egg shrank his neck in a guilty conscience. Then he crawled onto her neck to please. He smiled and said, "Don't be angry, Mom. Aren't we here to stockpile food?" Right. Little Golden Dragon also flew to Hushi's ear, smiling flatteringly and saying expectantly, "Boss, you don't have to do anything on this journey. We promise to help you get rid of the magical beasts, but we still need Boss to process them after getting the spiritual beast meat." "Boss, we haven't eaten your food for a few days. We're almost dying of hunger, so have pity on us." Chapter 12:29. So unlucky. Hushi put her arms around her chest and smiled slightly. "Okay, that's what you guys said. Before entering the snow Ganoderma grass area, I won't do anything. You all have to do it all for me." "Got it. No problem. Don't worry, young master. Just these spiritual beasts. We can definitely get it done." Mumu get it done. Zhang Chong and the others were stunned when they saw this conversation between the 5 spiritual pets. The least scheming Qian Dazhuang couldn't help but be stunned. "My God, don't see that they are all so small. They have quite a big tone. They actually said that they can get the magical beast below rank 6 done? They won't get eaten by the magical beasts, right?" Chen Xiaofeng grabbed Qian Dazhuang and motioned him to stop talking nonsense and offended Shiyu. However, Qian Dazhuang suddenly rolled his eyes, leaned closer to Chen Xiaofeng and said with a low smile, "If Shiyu's spiritual beasts are in danger and we rescue them, will Shiyu treat our boss for the saving grace?" Chen Xiaofeng rolled his eyes at him, but Qian Dazhuang felt that the idea was good. Therefore, they both followed behind the four little ones. After walking a few miles into the center of the Sun Moon Mountain Range, Jin Ziyu suddenly said solemnly, "Be careful, there is a magical beast approaching, and the level is not low." As soon as Jin Ziyu said these words, their expressions changed greatly, and they were all ready. The only one who was at ease, without being worried or nervous at all, was Hushi, who condensed various shapes with water balls and flames while walking in order to practice her spiritual power control precision. After a while, a magical beast's roar came with a strong coercion. The ground began to shake slightly, accompanied by the violent shaking of trees. At the end of the mountain wall not far away, an ugly magical beast with black wings soon appeared. This magical beast had a pointed face, green eyes, no hair all over his body, slender limbs and bat-like wings. Chen Xiaofeng breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it's just a rank 3 bat-winged beast. As soon as he finished speaking, he was shocked immediately. The bat-winged beast slowly came forward, and its wings began to vibrate slightly. The dust was flying behind it. When the dust settled, the second, third, fourth bat-winged beasts all appeared. Chen Xiaofeng's face turned pale. He muttered, 10. No, there are 12 rank 3 bat-winged beasts in total. What should we do? The attack power of bat-winged beasts was not particularly strong, and its defense was average, but the problem was that it could fly and attack from a distance. Surrounded by 12 bat-winged beasts, although they wouldn't all be dead, with the strength of the team, there would definitely be casualties. Zhang Chang's face turned gloomy. He took a step forward and said solemnly, "People with cultivation below the meridian stage find a place to hide. Qian Dazhuang and I will deal with them. Don't come out until the bat-winged beasts are killed." Qian Dazhuang nodded again and looked at Jin Ziyu worriedly. "Boss, you must be careful." A look of humiliation and unwillingness flashed in Jin Ziyu's eyes, and he finally nodded in pain. But before Jin Ziyu could speak, they heard the 4 adorable spiritual pets not far away, complaining one by one. What a bad luck. Why, the first wave of magical beasts are these ugly magical beasts with little meat. Even if all 12 are killed, they won't be able to cook a few dishes. Chapter 1230. Murderous magical beasts. The little fox's weak voice also had regrets. The taste of rank 3 magical beast meat is not as good as that of rank 4 magical beast meat, and it can't show the cooking skill of young master. Little Egg had a crying face. Ooh, Little Egg hates such an ugly magical beast. It doesn't look delicious at all. Will Little Egg have nightmares after eating it? Little Golden Dragon said impatiently, really noisy, "Do you want this meat or not?" "Want." Little Fox, Little Egg and Little Dumb Cow said in unison. The little fox continued to add weakly, "Even if it's a mosquito, it will also have meat when there are many. What if there are no good ingredients in this Sun Moon Mountain range? We better save them first." As soon as Shaoli said this, the 4 little ones reached an agreement. Immediately afterward, without even stopping for a moment, the 4 figures all rushed toward the bat-winged beasts. Everyone present. "Is there something wrong with this script?" Qian Dazhuang suddenly woke up. He immediately shouted and rushed out anxiously. "Hey, you 4 little guys, don't run around. Those are rank 3 bat-winged beasts. You will be eaten. Come behind me and I'll protect." Before the last word "you" was uttered, Qian Dazhuang stood there in a daze. No, it wasn't just Qian Dazhuang. Everyone present, except Shiyu, widened their eyes in disbelief. Qian Dazhuang even rubbed his eyes again and again. It took a long time before he uttered a curse. What the fuck, are they still spiritual pets? They are clearly murderous beasts. That's right, it was a slaughter without resistance. However, what was slaughtered was not the weak spiritual pets that everyone thought just now, but the 12 black bat-winged beasts. There was a bloody and pungent smell in the air. The corpses of the huge black bat-winged beasts fell from the sky one by one, making bang 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 sound. Soon, the ground was covered with their corpses. The only 3 bat-winged beasts left in the air wanted to escape, but the little golden dragon sneered. 3 idiots, you stepped into my bowl and still want to escape? Don't even dream about it. As soon as he said that, a sword aura transformed by lightning whistled and pierced the neck of one of the bat-winged beasts. Bang! The bat-winged beast's body fell to the ground, and a heavier smell of blood permeated. Little Egg below wrinkled his nose and said angrily, "Little dragon, why are you attacking their necks every time? It's such a waste that the blood has flowed out. Their blood can still be made into assorted soup." Little golden dragon was stunned in the air, then he retorted, "Their blood is too stinky. If you want to make assorted soup, of course find a better magical beast." While speaking, the last 2 bat-winged beasts also died and fell. With a wave of Little Egg's little paw, all 12 bat-winged beasts were sent into the void. Mom. Little Egg ran back to Hushy with his short legs and asked excitedly, "Mom, can these bat-winged beasts make something delicious?" Hushy put away the water ball that she had just cast and smiled leisurely. "Of course, the taste may be a bit like salt and pepper snake steak. You will know when I cook for you later." Salt and pepper snake steak. Little Egg sucked in his saliva. Suddenly, he became depressed. Why are there only 12 bat-winged beasts? If there were more, wouldn't there be more points of salt and pepper snake steak? That's delicious. Chapter 1231. Blissful Life at the end of the battle. Jin Ziyu and the others who were completely shocked by the 4 little ones finally came back to their senses. Zhang Yi pointed at the little golden dragon, the main force of the battle, and stammered, "Brother Shiyu, what kind of magical beast are they? How can they be so powerful? They look so harmless on the surface, but they are such powerful magical beasts. Are they rank 4? Hushy smiled and said lightly, "You can ask them." It was not that Hushy didn't want to say it, but she also couldn't tell the origins of these spiritual pets. They are so surprised by this strength only? Hee. Then they will be even more shocked. What's more, Purple Abyss Vine, the truly strongest one, hasn't been revealed yet. The Purple Abyss Vine, which was kept in the void, sensed Hushy's mood, and her branches and leaves swayed proudly and happily. "Master said that I'm the most powerful one. Yes, I'm Master's greatest helper." Hee. Along the way, Qian Dazhuang and others experienced an arduous journey from shock and surprise to numbness and accustomed to it. When they finally entered the rank 5 magical beast area, and watched those rank 5 magical beasts, that the gold core stage could barely deal with, being stomped by the 4 little ones, they felt that the result was normal. Jin Ziyu, Zhang Chong and others who were worried and nervous also became relaxed after following the 4 little ones for a while. Zhang Chong sighed. "I used to follow the elite group of Academy Student Council officers to do missions, but I have never encountered such an easy mission. I feel that I'm here to just make up the number. There's no difference between of having me here at all." Ha, Qian Dazhuang said with a smile. "Aren't we the same, but it's great to not be in danger." Little Egg and the little ones were also very happy, because their empty void was finally filled with ingredients again. As long as the mission was over, they could eat the food cooked by Hushy. The life could only be described as blissful. After traveling for a day and a half, they finally arrived at the edge between the rank 5 magical beast and the rank 6 magic beast. Between the rank 5 magical beast and the rank 6 magical beast area, there was a safe area without magical beasts. There were also many rare spiritual herbs growing in it. Although most of them were rank 3 or 4, for the poor students of the Huang medical branch, it was a huge wealth. And in this safe area, there were usually magical beast eggs or cubs, which could grow into a powerful spiritual pet. However, to enter this safe area, one needed to pass through the dense army of rank 5 magical beasts. Most people couldn't even reach here. But because of the little golden dragon beside Hushy, most of the rank 5 magical beasts retreated under the dragon demeanor, so they smoothly entered the safe area. "Brother Shiyu, we finally came to this blessed place in the Sun Moon Mountain Range. I want to go in and see if I can find suitable spiritual pets for my brother and I. Senior Shiyu, we also want to collect some spiritual herbs." The spiritual herbs here are very rare. Hushi smiled lightly. Okay, go ahead. Gather here before noon. Zhang Yi and others were overjoyed when they heard the words, and Jin Ziyu and the others also decided to split up to find some suitable spiritual herbs. Chapter 1232. Settle old accounts. After all, being able to enter this safe area was the luck that many people couldn't look forward to in their entire lives, so they didn't want to miss this opportunity. What's more, there was no magical beast here, so it had almost no danger. Little Egg patted Hushi's chest and said, "Mother, you can rest here. We promised to collect spiritual herbs and magical beast eggs for you." Hushi nodded his head and sneered. The more spiritual herbs the better, but forget about the magic beast eggs. Am I not tired enough to raise you little ancestors? Little Egg tilted his head and said without hesitation. Who said that magical beast eggs are collected to be raised? Of course they are collected as food. Mom, didn't you say that egg custard is delicious? Hushi. Very good, Little Egg, you can do it. When everyone was far away, Hushi looked around and saw a huge towering tree with dense branches and leaves, and it was impossible to see what was above it from below. She smiled leisurely. Then she leaped onto the branch, closed her eyes and entered the void. She could just take advantage of this time to take a break and condense her fundamental essence. 2 hours later, Jin Ziyu and his subordinates returned. Qian Dazhuang looked around for a while, then they used divine sense to check carefully before asking strangely, "Why isn't Shiyu here? Maybe he also went to collect spiritual herbs nearby?" Chen Xiaofeng asked excitedly, while counting the spiritual herbs in the storage ring. "We are really lucky this time. Thanks to Shiyu that we are to be able to enter this blessed land of Sun Moon Mountain Range." When Qian Dazhuang heard this, his face was full of longing. He said with a loud voice like a broken gong, "Where the hell did Shiyu get those spiritual pets? They are really amazing. If only I could get one too." Hong'an, the more quiet among the four, suddenly supported Jin Ziyu, who was pale, and asked worriedly, "Boss, are you feeling unwell again?" Jin Ziyu coughed twice. His face flushed abnormally. As he waved his hand and wanted to say that he was fine, a man suddenly laughed mockingly behind him. "Tsk, I didn't expect you guys to get in here. It really took me a while to find you guys. However, my efforts are paid off. Jin Ziyu, I finally found you." When the four of them heard the words, their expressions suddenly changed. They all turned their heads to look in the direction of the rank 5 magical beast area not far away. 7 young men in Heaven Medical Branch costumes walking slowly. Seeing the people coming, Jin Ziyu's body trembled violently and murmured, "Wu Jintian." As the name was uttered, his heart sank little by little. The only thing left was despair and unwillingness. The 7 people in front of them were all at the gold core stage. Wu Jintian was even at the gold core stage later stage. From the fact that they could easily pass through the rank 5 magical beast area, he knew that their cultivation was definitely not low. Even if Zhang Chong and the others came back now, even with the help of Shiyu's magical beasts, they could not be the opponents of these 7 people. Seeing the panic and despair in Jin Ziyu's eyes, the leader young man showed a cheerful smile on his distorted face. "Jin Ziyu, I thought you were going to hide in the academy like a tortoise for the rest of your life? Although it's a bit dog, you can at least save your dog life. I didn't expect that you dared to come out. Ha ha ha. Then don't blame me for settling old accounts with you." Chapter 1233. Kill them all. Qian Dazhuang and the others suddenly returned to their senses, hurried to Jin Ziyu, and guarded him firmly behind them. Chen Xiaofeng said more solemnly, "Wu Jintian, how did you know we are in the Sun Moon Mountain Range? Did Tu Yonghao tell you?" Wu Jintian sneered, "How I know is not important. The important matter is that you are going to die here today." Chen Xiaofeng glanced at the 7 people. The more he looked, the desperate he became. With their cultivation, they wouldn't be the opponents of these 7 people. Wu Jintian alone could deal with them. However, were they going to die here after struggling to survive for so many years? Chen Xiaofeng gritted his teeth and looked at Wu Jintian with a little pleading in his eyes. Wu Jinshui, the grievance between you and us has passed for so many years. Boss Jin's cultivation has mostly been abolished, and he was kicked out of Heaven Medical Branch. Such a pain and torture still can relieve your hatred? Why do you still want to kill all of us? Ha 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 ha. Chen Xiaofeng's obvious begging for mercy made Wu Jintian and the others burst into laughter. Their faces were full of contempt and cruelty. Chen Xiaofeng, are you scared? Want to beg for mercy? Okay, as long as you kill Jin Ziyu, I will let you go, how about that? Chen Xiaofeng's face turned dark, and he suddenly raised his voice. Wu Jinshui, don't get carried away. If the academy finds out that you have murdered your classmates, do you think you will end well? Wu Jinshui sneered, and the people behind him also looked unscrupulous. One of the young men with makeup laughed slyly. Hee, no one in the school knew that we came to this Sun Moon Mountain range and found you. Even if you really die here, the people in the academy will only think that you challenged the heaven-level mission beyond your own strength and failed in the end. I think Jin Ziyu must know better than everyone else. How tragic the failure of the heaven-level mission was, ha ha ha. Seeing that Chen Xiaofeng was going to talk, Qian Dezhuang couldn't help but shout. Ah Feng, why still talk nonsense with them? These bastards are determined to kill boss. Do you think they will really let us go? Qian Dezhuang, you're right. Wu Jinshui sneered. His cold eyes turned to Jin Ziyu, and he slowly said, Jin Ziyu, you kicked me out of the finals list in the big competition back then, humiliated in front of people. I even lost my chance to go to Siam continent forever. I swear by my name Wu Jinshui that day. I will repay this hatred tenfold and 100-fold on you. Today, I finally get the chance. Qian Dezhuang flushed and shouted angrily. It's clear that you used despicable methods in the competition, and you even ruthlessly abolished your opponent cultivation. Boss was already good to just kick you out of the competition. You didn't feel grateful, but now you even... Dezhuang, no need to talk more with him. Jin Ziyu said slowly, he won't listen. Yes, there were people like them in this world. They could only see what others owe them, but they couldn't see the evil deeds they had done. They would only hate the injustice that others had treated them, but they would never reflect on themselves. To such a person, it would be a waste of time to say more. Chapter 1234. Life and Death Together. As soon as he finished speaking, Jin Ziyu channeled spiritual power and released a cluster of green mist. Instantly, everything around became sticky and heavy. Even the dust floating in the air was absorbed by the mist. Everyone's vision became blurred. Jin Ziyu coughed in a low voice, suppressed the surging blood in his heart, pushed his 3 companions and said in a hoarse voice from the mist, Go! Go to Zhangchong and Shiyu immediately. Boss! Boss, what are you doing? The anxious call came from not far away, but Jin Ziyu seemed to have not heard it. He formed gestures, making the mist even thicker as if it would suffocate people's breathing. This move, Green Mist Forest, was a very powerful killing move, and it could only be used if one had the dual sky spiritual root of water and wood or the mutated sky spiritual root of these 2 types. In Miluo continent, the sky spiritual root of the wood type almost couldn't be found, and the mutated sky spiritual root of the wood type was even more rare. Jin Ziyu was one of them. However, no matter how powerful the ultimate move was, if it was used with the cultivation of the meridian stage, it wouldn't be able to exert 0.1% of its true power. Wu Jinshui's disdainful and arrogant sneer came from the mist. Jin Ziyu, do you think you are still the best president of the Academy Student Council? Now your trick, Green Mist Forest, is just worse than the annoying juggling in my eyes. As soon as the voice came, a crimson flame suddenly ignited, and the surrounding temperature rose rapidly. Soon the sticky and moist green mist evaporated. Wu Jinshui saw Jin Ziyu hiding behind a tree at a glance. He had a pale face and bloodstains on his mouth. He couldn't help laughing. His body and the long sword in his hand merged into one and whistled toward Jin Ziyu. He wanted to break Jin Ziyu's tendons first. Then he would crush his meridians and bones inch by inch, smash his dantian and feed his body to the magical beast. Bang! A loud noise came, Wu Jinshui was forced to take 2 steps back and stopped attacking. Jin Ziyu's face changed greatly and he exclaimed, "Dezhuang, what are you doing?" Qian Dazhuang's huge body like a mountain stood firmly in front of Jin Ziyu. His face looked suffering, then he spouted blood. Accompanied by the sound of bones breaking, the tower-like burly man almost fell down in front of Jin Ziyu, as if his body was boneless. However, all of a sudden, some kind of strength was supporting him. The body that had fallen down suddenly stood up straight, and he once again stood in front of Jin Ziyu. Jin Ziyu's lips trembled violently. After a while he said angrily in a hoarse voice, "Qian Dazhuang, what are you doing? Don't even you treat me as your boss now, you don't even listen to me? Their target is me, not you. Leave now. Do you hear me?" "No. I don't listen." Qian Dazhuang used a great sword to support his unstable body, and he said with a weak but decisive tone, "Boss, you saved my life. I said that I, Dezhuang, will be with you no matter where you are. Even if it's your order, boss, you can't make me break the oath I made." "That's right, boss." Chen Xiaofeng and Hong Anxiu were not as burly as Qian Dazhuang, but they felt a deep regret for not helping when Jin Ziyu was in danger. At this time, they finally returned to Jin Ziyu's side. They stood in 3 directions to protect Jin Ziyu tightly. Chapter 1235. Brotherhood with Red Eyes. Chen Xiaofeng turned his back to Jin Ziyu and said in a low voice, "Boss, when we were kicked out of Heaven Medical Branch together, we said that we should help each other. We will live together and die together in the future. I'm afraid of death, but I'm more afraid of losing my best brother than death." Hong An let out a low hum, and he repeated a simple sentence, "Die together." Jin Ziyu stood there dumbfounded. Hot tears streamed down his eyes suddenly. He was proud to have such life and death brother. However, he felt even more heartache and remorse, because he was going to drag his brother to hell with him on this green mountain. Jin Ziyu abruptly stepped forward and said hoarsely to Wu Jinshui, "Wu Jinshui, as long as you are willing to let go of my brother, I will promise whatever you want me to do." Wu Jinshui showed a distorted and perverted smile. He said, "Including asking you to lick my urine and letting you crouch through my crotch?" Without any hesitation, Jin Ziyu hissed, "Yes, as long as you can spare them." "Boss, what nonsense are you talking about? Boss, have you forgotten our oath? If you want me to watch the boss get humiliated, I'd rather die." Wu Jinshui looked at them scrambling to die, and he couldn't help laughing. Such a touching brotherhood. "Then I know how to make you Jin Ziyu more painful." As soon as he finished speaking, he waved to the people behind him with a sinister smile. "You guys catch those 3 trash for me. What a wonderful brotherhood. I will let him watch his brothers die one by one in front of him. Haha. Isn't it more enjoyable than torturing Jin Ziyu to death? Wu Jinshui, you dare." Jin Ziyu roared abruptly, staring at Wu Jinshui in hatred. The violent roar, mixed with the spiritual power vibration, caused the trees beside to shake violently. Some harmless birds without spiritual power were frightened and flew into the sky one after another. When Wu Jinshui saw Jin Ziyu's maddening pain, he felt an indescribable comfort in his heart. 6 gold core stages versus a half-dead gold core stage and 3 meridian stages. The results were unquestionable. Jin Ziyu was firmly restrained. Qian Dazhuang and the other 2 were forced to kneel on the ground. Wu Jinshui walked slowly to Qian Dazhuang while smacking his tongue and shaking his head. "Qian Dazhuang, if you didn't follow Jin Ziyu with all your heart, you might still be able to stay alive in the Heaven Medical Branch today. At worst, you can stay in the 4 upper courtyards. Don't you regret having such an ending now?" "Bah." Qian Dazhuang spat at Wu Jinshui and roared, "I only hate that when the boss found out about your scandal, he didn't kill you immediately." "Okay, good. Very good. You are really a real man." Wu Jinshui lifted his leg and stepped Qian Dazhuang's head into the ground. "I want to see when I crush your dantian and cut your meridians. Can you still be like a man?" Jin Ziyu's eyes widened in horror, struggling desperately to rush over. "Wu Jinshui, stop. You dare to hurt him. I won't let you go. Dazhuang dash." Seeing that Wu Jinshui's flying sword was about to slash Qian Dazhuang's wrist, A purple light flashed through. With a clanging sound, the flying sword on Wu Jinshui's hand flew out inexplicably. Chapter 1236. Disturbed my sleep immediately afterward, a cold and pleasant voice came from above. You guys are so noisy. Immediately, everyone looked upward. It was a young man sitting on a high branch, looking down at everyone coldly. The golden sunlight shined through the mottled and interlaced green branches and leaves on the young man's white skin. The dense and long eyelashes were like butterfly wings, dancing gently. Her lips were more tender than the flower petals. In a trance, they felt holy and tender. It made people want to ravage, but they couldn't approach in awe. Wu Jinshui was in a daze for a while. After he gained power in Heaven Medical Branch, he played with many girls. However, he had never seen a girl who could be as enchanting as the young man in front of him. The atmosphere froze for a while. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the young man. Those deep and clear phoenix eyes, that delicate and fair skin, those slender straight legs that swayed gently. This atmosphere continued until Jin Ziyu suddenly returned to his senses and shouted out 2 words. Shiyu. The young man on the high branch heard the call, and he jumped down. It was like a green silk fluttered gently, accompanied by the slightly bulging robe, blowing a breeze with the medicinal fragrance. Hushi landed in the middle, looked at Jin Ziyu and said, Is it noon? She was in the void just now, and she finally felt that the fundamental essence had entered a state of nourishment and harmony. The spiritual power in the void slowly revolved around her, allowing her to experience unprecedented comfort and relaxation. This kind of feeling was very wonderful and intoxicating. It was completely different from the usual cultivation. It was not hard at all. She just felt intoxicated and unwilling to wake up. However, at such a comfortable moment, the void suddenly vibrated violently, indicating that someone was approaching and was fighting. She had to withdraw from the wonderful realm. How could she feel good? Jin Ziyu opened his mouth and was about to speak. Wu Jinshui on the side suddenly exclaimed as if he had seen a ghost. Shiyu. You're Shiyu. Wu Jinshui was a student of Heaven Medical Branch, so he of course met Shiyu before. However, when he met Shiyu in the past, she always looked cold and withdrawn, like refusing to communicate to people. Although they knew that she had a beautiful appearance, when they first saw her, people tended to forget her appearance and only focused on her biting aura. It wasn't until just now that Wu Jinshui discovered that Shiyu was such a beautiful young man, so beautiful that he forgot that Shiyu was a man. He wanted to own her and press her under his body. Hushi squinted and glanced coldly at Wu Jinshui, and she smiled slowly. Just now, is it you who disturbed my sleep? Wu Jinshui swallowed his saliva. His greedy and evil eyes looked around Hushi recklessly, and he sneered. Shiyu, I know you accept the mission with Jin Ziyu and these trash, but I advise you to not meddle in our business. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. The cold killing intent in Hushi's eyes flashed away, but she smiled. Meddle into your business? I'm sorry, I'm not interested in being nosy, but who let you disturb my sleep? Chapter 1237. Unescapable Net. Wu Jinshui took a step forward, showing a lewd smile. I disturbed your sleep? Then I'll accompany you to sleep later. How about that? Sleep with me. Hushi slowly smirked. The smile on her face was bright and brilliant, which made her face even more breathtaking. Wu Jinshui swallowed his saliva. Jin Ziyu said anxiously, Shiyu, run now. This matter has nothing to do with you. You're not their opponent. As soon as he finished saying the word opponent, he saw her raise her hand and flick her 5 as if she was casually picking flowers. However, Wu Jinshui, who was not far away, suddenly let out a shrill scream. Then he slammed into a big tree. This change made everyone present dumbfounded. When Wu Jinshui got up from the ground, his whole face was contorted together. His eyes were full of malicious intention. You ungrateful bitch. You are just at the foundation establishment stage. You are just praised by those idiots in the academy for a few days, and you think you are so good now. Everyone was shocked and dumbfounded by Shiyu's courage. Obviously, Wu Jinshui's side far outnumbered them in both numbers and cultivation. How could Qiyu have the courage to attack Wu Jinshui first? Chen Xiaofeng said even more anxiously. Qiyu, can you contact your spiritual pets? Quickly let them come back to save you. You must leave here immediately, otherwise. Hushi brushed off the dust and leaves on his clothes, and she casually interrupted Chen Xiaofeng. Will I be wanted by the academy if I kill an academy student in the Sun Moon Mountain range? Jin Ziyu stepped forward with guilt and pain in his eyes, and said tremblingly, Qiyu, please run. I don't want to hurt anyone anymore. No one knew they entered the Sun Moon Mountain range. Even if they killed us, the people in the academy will only think that we were killed by magical beast. They will never show mercy. Wu Jinshui and the others on the side laughed, and Wu Jinshui's voice was full of viciousness and wickedness. Jin Ziyu, you really like to play the role of a good guy. You can't protect yourself, but you are begging for others. But it's a pity. Do you think Qiyu can still run away? Hushi laughed happily when she heard the words. She said with indescribable arrogance. Oh, so if I kill them here, no one will know that it was us who did it. What? Jin Ziyu didn't react for a while. Hushi nodded in satisfaction and said, Very well, I hate trouble and not be able to cut off the trouble's root cause. Then, I can do it without any scruples. You bastard, what, you can do it without any scruples? Who you think you are? Wu Jinshui's face was distorted by Hushi's arrogant attitude, thinking that he must give her a taste of living death. However, before his words were finished, a powerful spiritual power surged. Immediately afterward, the beautiful young man's clothes and hair rose freely, and countless purple vines rose from her body. Purple abyss vine formed a net. No one could escape from the net alive. The original contempt and certainty on Wu Jinshui's face suddenly turned into fear. An aura that made even his soul tremble and creepy lingered around his body, making him unable to move. Ah! Chapter 1238. Strength of the Powerhouse. Jin Ziyu and the others could only see the purple vines engulfing Wu Jinshui and the others. Before they could react to what happened, they heard heart-piercing screams and wailing under the purple vines. Qian Dazhuang's injured body swayed. It took a long time for him to utter a trembling sentence. Am I having an illusion? What happened? A purple vine flicked in front of them. Chen Xiaofeng was so frightened that he stumbled under his feet and almost fell to the ground, but it was Hong'an who kindly helped him, so he didn't make a gaffe. Chen Xiaofeng looked at the young man who showed a cold smile in fright. He felt that his previous overestimation of Qiyu was ridiculously low. Qiyu had made a mess in the Miracle Healer Academy when she entered Miracle Healer Academy. She seemed to be weak and beautiful, and her cultivation was low. But she had never been a weak person, but a king who truly stood at the top, making them feel extravagant even looking up at her. Among the four, Jin Ziyu was definitely shocked the most. Because he once stood at the top of this academy where no one could match him, so he knew the strength of the real powerhouse. However, the spiritual oppression that erupted from Qiyu just now shocked him. How can that be the spiritual pressure from a foundation establishment stage martial artists? How can that be the strength of a foundation establishment stage martial artists? Even if I was at my peak, facing Qiyu, I might not have the strength to contend. Who is this young man? The screams became more and more desperate and weaker until they disappeared. The purple vine Guji hiccuped and returned to Hushi happily. On the ground, there were 6 corpses lying randomly, each with a huge opening in the abdomen, and the entire dantian disappeared without a trace. Little Purple had been very obedient since being warned by Hushi last time at Nalan Mansion, not to eat all the rubbish. So every time she eats people, she won't eat them whole, but she only eats the fattest dantian that can improve her cultivation. Hushi gently stroked Little Purple who was begging for praise, and there was a sarcastic smile on her face. She looked not far away. In the center of the 6 corpses, the only surviving one was Wu Jinshui. Wu Jinshui was already badly wounded at this time. He was holding a magic weapon that glowed with green light in his hand. His eyes were full of fear, and there was deep resentment and hatred. Qiyu, you dare to kill your classmates. When I return to the academy and report to the elders, You will definitely receive the most severe punishment. You just wait. As soon as he finished speaking, an inscribed teleportation jade slip appeared in Wu Jinshui's hand, and it was crushed. As the inscribed jade slip broke, Wu Jinshui also showed a crazy smile. Do you think you can kill us all? Ha ha ha, you don't know, right? I have a inscribed random teleportation jade slip. Even I'm teleported to an unknown dangerous place, I will definitely go back and expose you. You just wait for my crazy revenge. Wu Jinshui spoke freely. He thought he could see the fear on Hushi's face, but what greeted him was Hushi's pitying and sarcastic smile. Immediately afterward, he was horrified to find that he had crushed the inscribed jade slip, but the inscribed jade slip did not light up with the light of teleportation at all. In other words, the teleportation array did not activate at all. Chapter 1239. Burned to ashes. Hushi put her hands around her chest, shook her head slowly and smiled. Inscribed random teleportation jade slip. TSK, I really hate this thing. I've suffered over and over again because of this thing. How could I not take any measures to prevent it? Wu Jinshui's eyes widened in shock. He said with a hoarse voice, what did you do? With the sound of posh, a purple vine penetrated from Wu Jinshui's abdomen. With 2 clicks, his entire dantian was quickly swallowed up. Wu Jinshui widened his eyes and mouth, wanting to say something, but he could only make an unpleasant click sound before collapsing to the ground. Since Nalan Yurong and Feng Yunjing used inscribed random teleportation jade slips to escape from her eyes one after another, Hushi had been paying attention to this thing. She was not proficient in arrays and couldn't destroy arrays like Nangongyu. However, she had the most straightforward brute force method. The enchantment arranged by Purple Abyss Vine could block all spiritual power, sound and smell. Without the spiritual power fluctuation, how could the teleportation array be activated? Of course, this method could only be aimed at those whose cultivation base was lower than Hushi, but it was more than enough to deal with Wu Jinshui. Hushi smirked. She was very satisfied with the result. A red flame flew out from her hand, quickly swallowing up the bodies of Wu Jinshui and others. In the blink of an eye, these gold core stage masters who had just been ferocious were burned to ashes, leaving only some residues on the ground. Jin Ziyu and the others were all dumbfounded by this scene. Qian Dazhuang swayed violently for a while, and he finally couldn't hold it any longer. He staggered and fell forward while muttering, "Oh my God, am I too seriously wounded that I had an illusion? When can a life-saving item such as a random teleportation array be destroyed casually?" Hushi glanced at them, then she revealed a stunning smile. "If you talk about what just happened, I think you all know the consequences very well, right?" Chen Xiaofeng was dazzled by the smile, but when he heard the question, he shuddered and hurriedly said, We will never say anything. No, we saw nothing. We were just searching for snow Ganoderma grass along the way. We hadn't met anyone." Jin Ziyu and the other 2 nodded in unison. They were not stupid. This time, they escaped from the dead because of Shiyu. What was more, scums like Wu Jinshui deserved to die. They wouldn't tell it to anybody until they were dumb. Hushi nodded in satisfaction, waved her hand casually, and a gust of wind blew up the only remaining ashes on the ground. Even no ashes were left. Just when they finally breathed a sigh of relief, they heard the clear voice of the young man. "It's best if you know what not to speak, otherwise, I will have to let you take some medicine that stops you from talking nonsense." Chen Xiaofeng and Hong An only felt a chill down their backs, and a thin cold sweat oozed out from their foreheads. Jin Ziyu's heart skipped a beat. Looking straight at the young man from the side, his eyes were filled with hope and fear. "Brother Shiyu." A hurried call in the distance from far to near interrupted their conversation. "Brother Shiyu, we heard someone fighting in the distance. Are you all right?" That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.